don't forget, this is pretty much the largest distribution of tokens taking place for a very, very long time. We're not just distributing to a few people, predominantly people that are maybe inside investors. We're distributing to potentially, I don't know what the number is, but we have 350,000 wallets on Songbird itself, or addresses, more than 350,000. And more than 100 of those addresses belong to exchanges. And I'm not certain how many people there are behind those exchanges, meaning, people will receive the FLR token. But one could estimate it's definitely, if you think for every self-custody person, there's probably between 10 and 20 non-self-custody people. So that, and we have 350,000 addresses, then you think that there may be between, 3.5 and 7 million potential token holders. So it's a potentially a really large distribution.
Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. And today we've got an exciting episode going over the FLR Improvement Proposal FIP.01. And this is going to be the first of many proposals that we'll probably see over the years from FLR Network. And before we get started, I just want to make one thing clear, that this is a proposal that the foundation has put forward and issued. And if passed, it consists of a set of changes that will be made to the distribution and the inflation of FLR's blockchain's native token, FLR. Under the new proposal, this will enable the distribution of FLR to be transferable. Under the current scheme, a fixed set of addresses receive the airdrop, whereas under the proposal, the rights to the remaining distribution are effectively transferred with the token. And I think this is probably the single most important thing to understand about the change in the distribution. So no longer with this proposal would you have a claim, does the address have a claim. The distribution is now attached to the token. So if somebody sells FLR, they're then selling that 36 months of distribution rights go with that token. And also that token has FTSO delegation rights. And it has governance rights. So there are three things that are built in natively to FLR. And the ability to utilize that asset simultaneously as collateral or in any type of DeFi DEX, but specifically as collateral in the FASIC system. So let's recap. FLR is where the distribution is attached to the token, not the account anymore. So that's the key change here. And this allows for an open ecosystem where it doesn't dilute the non-airdrop entrants ownership percentage month on month due to the distribution, whereas under the proposed distribution, the entrants ownership percentage is kept constant. So together with the changes in payout structure and recipients of the cross-chain incentive pool, I'm 110% behind this and support it. I think it dramatically improves multiple aspects of the ecosystem, the network, and will drive participation. It will drive value into FLR. It will drive a more diverse ecosystem, and it does not take anything away from the airdrop recipients. If anything, it amplifies the amount of rewards that you can earn at the expense of those who do not participate. That's the greatest thing. And that's what FLR has been saying since day one. Literally 2 years ago, Brad Combs and I interviewed Hugo, and he said exactly that.
Incentives are structured such as to build the ecosystem as quickly and as decentralized manner as possible, such that the payouts are very much higher at the beginning than later on. If you participate, you get rewards. Those rewards essentially come at the expense of people that don't participate. A lot of people will end up with Spark token that maybe are only there to take the value from it, rather than to build the ecosystem, rather than to use it, rather than participate. So what that will do is basically it moves the rewards away from those people that sell it at early days to people that want to participate, to people that want to hold the token.
Much has changed in the last 2 years. FLR is a radically larger project than what was originally envisioned. Instead of serving a single community with a single utility, FLR's protocols are now on a path to provide developers with scalable smart contracts, truly decentralized price feeds, secured state acquisition from other blockchains, superior bridging for smart contract and not smart contract assets, secure data relay, and horizontal scaling through a fully interoperable multi-chain ecosystem starting with Songbird. FLR will present developers with a single, simple, coherent stack on which to build applications that are fully cross-chain capable. To allow FLR to thrive, the token distribution, which was designed to build participation from a single community with a single utility, needs to change, such that it offers participants from any chain and new entrants in the space an equal chance to become a participant in the FLR ecosystem. I think this is very key, and those who are going to be coming into the ecosystem after the network launches, it's very rare you get a chance to be at the foundation of something being built. So we have that opportunity here, and we're going to talk about the utility of FLR, and we're going to dive in further than even this proposal does on what really comes in the utility of FLR and the value, and what users and citizens of the network can bring, because this is more than an investment. We are now at the stage when these networks are truly community driven. When you can participate directly in on-chain governance, this vote will take place like a DAO, even more decentralized than most DAOs, because it's going to be actually on-chain. There's going to be no off-chain. It's going to be on-chain, the vote. So it's going to only be voted by those who have vote power and are on the network. If you're holding on the exchange, you're not voting, as it should be. So this proposal has been designed to preserve the existing airdrop recipients' foundational place in the ecosystem and put those coming fresh to the ecosystem on equal footing. This maximizes the benefit for the most number of people within the active FLR community and ecosystem, supporting FLR's ambition to connect the decentralized economy and drive broader adoption of Web3 in general. It can help create a more balanced playing field where all the different ecosystems which FLR will help connect would have an equal incentive to grow and participate with FLR. The proposed changes and benefits include, so before we move on there, if you were coming into an ecosystem and you knew that there was a small group or this group that was getting a distributed token for 3 years straight, would you want to go into that ecosystem? You would be like, now these people or entities are receiving this token. We don't know if they're participating. They might be, they might not be. Most of them probably aren't. And they're just selling at the expense. I'm going to have to take a risk in going on that network and building and participating. So it's logical coming from any other viewpoint, except if you had the intention that you wanted to sell your free tokens. Otherwise, it makes no sense. And this is the obvious way that to drive participation from inside the XRP community and outside. This has now become more. So you still have the advantage if you're getting the airdrop. Your initial 15%, you'll receive a boatload more by the end of 3 years if you participate and simply delegate to the FTSO and earn the distribution every month. So we're going to go deeper into that. But let's just run through these quick 4 things here that it does. If FIP.01 is successfully passed by the community individuals will no longer be reliant on distributions from centralized platforms. If the level of staking on FLR is anywhere near the industry average, then those who delegate will receive more FLR tokens via the proposal than the current system. This proposal substantially lowers inflation and reduces a long-term supply, meaning those that participate could end up with a meaningfully larger share of the token ownership, as they would have more tokens with fewer in circulation. And I'm going to throw in here also, at the expense of those who do not participate. There is going to be a number of those who don't participate. And here's the key. The distribution is attached to the token. It is no longer attached to the account. So the claim is with the token, and that's the distribution monthly. Key to understand, we're going to be repeating that throughout the video, because that's, I think, the easiest way to understand it, and it's the most simple and it's the most factual. It's not, there's no 85% with this account or that airdrop. It's with the token. So if you sell the token, sell the distribution. This proposal substantially lowers inflation. So lowering inflation is a good thing, because now, instead of having to distribute all that out to those maybes who might participate but probably won't, and stay on exchanges and create speculative markets, that all gets removed and it all comes on chain where it belongs. Now, there will be, of course, speculative trading, and there's going to be 100 different exchanges that are going to be most likely listing when FLR gets airdropped. But this is a network launch, not an airdrop. The airdrop is a component of the distribution, which is one component of the network launch. So there's a lot more going on here than just a token drop. So FIP.01 enables anyone holding FLR to delegate and receive a share of the distribution. This makes the distribution transferable and generates a strong incentive to reduce excess liquidity, and treats all those who hold FLR, aka FLR, however they obtain it, equally. In some tax jurisdictions, this proposal makes it possible to defer the tax event of realizing FLR while still receiving the remainder of the token distribution, allowing better control of the timing of the tax liability. So those are some just initial components of the proposal. So this improves the long-term economics. This rewards existing participants and incentivizes new participation. It better manages liquidity, improve the tokenomics of the new ecosystem entrants, and enables the distribution of FLR to be transferable. Key there, the distribution is transferable through the token. Alleviate the risk of exchange and CeFi platforms for token holders. I don't think I really need to explain that one much further than, would you trust your exchange for 3 years, or trust your non-custodial wallet and a smart contract? Reward infrastructure providers and those that generate value for the network by enabling them to vest FLR whilst constraining inflation. That's key there too, and we'll go into that later on. And it improves the long-term token economics. The proposal reduces short-term and long-term inflation. How does it do this? By calculating the inflation rate on the lower amount of available supply instead of the fully diluted supply. B, calculating the incentive pool payout based on the lower of 10% per annum or 3% per annum of available supply. C, capping the inflation at 5 billion tokens per year. This reduces supply substantially. As you can see in the graph here, the token supply substantially decreases. And I know that's going out a little far, but you can see here, just in the first 3 years, substantial decrease here of the inflation rate that's going to come out, because we don't need it as much, because we're more efficiently distributing the tokens to those who are participating, who earn then an amplified amount more. So that's called efficiency of distributing. And distributing the token is one of the most difficult things that every network faces. What's unique here is that they don't need to incentivize validators with holding tokens like proof of stake. There's no miners who need to get going. Like Satoshi was the first miner, and then everyone mined. And proof of stake is how things get going now, usually with VCs who get an early jump in on everyone. We don't have to deal with that. So it's a complete clean slate out the gate. We have decentralized consensus out the gate. DAO governance with on-chain community voting with special vote power contracts built into the token. And a wide distribution to an existing community with the ability to connect to every other ecosystem and build cross-chain distributed applications that FLR has built a simple stack for them to build on is very powerful. Now the FLR token, what does FLR come with? It comes with the distribution, which is attached to it. Every month, 650 to 750 million tokens come out. They will be distributed to those who are wrapped their token and delegating to the FTSO. You will also earn the FTSO reward, which will be twice a week. And that's the inflation reward. And you can utilize the FLR as collateral in the F asset system simultaneously while earning those two rewards. Yield. You're earning the distribution, you're earning the delegation rewards, you're utilizing as collateral, which allows you to earn XRP, BTC, Litecoin, XLM, and you have governance rights. So those are 4 massive utilities right there that come with an asset being airdropped to many for free. So remember that. And this rewards existing participants and incentivizes new participation. The proposal rewards those that participate by wrapping their FLR and delegating to the FTSO provider. The more a recipient delegates, the greater the FLR they receive. So it's based on your vote power in relation to total vote power. And total vote power will vary every month because there'll be a different amount of wrapped FLR. It's going to obviously grow, and it will be the most beneficial in month 1, month 2, month 3, because they'll be the least wrapped. And it's based on vote power. It's mapped back to your account. So if you're delegating, it's going back to your account. So although the FTSO Delegation Incentive Pool, which is a mouthful, is what they're calling a distribution, uses the wrap token amount held by each address to calculate the distribution. Delegation earnings increase the amount of wrap tokens held. Hence, the mechanism acts as an incentive to delegate. So it's an incentive on top of an incentive. So there's the incentive there to wrap, earn the FTSO, which is a compound every 3.5 days, and that earns the monthly distribution, which will be 3 snapshots randomly taken every month for 36 months to determine how much FLR you will receive. Really, it will depend on how much your percentage of vote power versus total vote power. So as you keep earning, you will maintain your share of the network. Now, it'll vary. That's why you can't put an APY on any of this. It's impossible because it's dependent on participation and dependent on how much you earn. Like if you sold some that month, or you acquired more, or there could be many different things that could happen in 1 month. But you're able to utilize the asset at the same time. That is something you cannot do in any other network. And if you do, it's like a staking derivative. This isn't a derivative. This is FLR. wFLR is FLR with special contracts wrapped around it. So distribution rewards every month, once a month. FTSO rewards twice a week, every week. Able to use the token simultaneously and earn outside blue chip cryptocurrencies, and then have the rights for governance over the network and influence based on your token holding. So this allows for a bigger ecosystem to grow and to come in instead of just the same 3 years of the same people receiving it who might or might not participate in the network. That was built for a very different setup, and FLR has evolved dramatically and radically since 2 years ago. Airdrop recipients still have the advantage as receiving the first tokens. And if somebody kept the initial 15% and delegated and earned the distribution every month, they will have a considerably larger amount at the end. But the key here is to incentivize and drive participation in the network. This is community-driven networks. These are behavioral economics. This is how you design ecosystems and markets. I think it is absolutely brilliant the way this is designed. It satisfies many of the concerns. So second thing is it alleviates the risk of exchanges and CeFi platforms for token holders. By distributing the airdrop through the FTSO delegation mechanism, the risk of an exchange not distributing the further distributions over 30 months is removed. So they remove that risk. And we know with exchanges, they can come and go, anything could happen. The last thing you want to do is trust an exchange. And this moves the activity on chain where it belongs. So there'll be no activity going off chain on these exchanges. Once the airdrop takes place, the initial selling and transferring, unless that exchange is offering the ability to delegate and to wrap and delegate to the FTSO, they're not going to be the focal point. And I know many in the community will be distracted by price early on, but the focus should be to earn as much rewards early on as possible. Because last 2 years, FLR has stated the most rewards will be earned in the earliest days by those who participate. And that stands true now even more. They've basically amplified that. So now the third component here, reward infrastructure providers and those that generate value for the network by enabling them to vest FLR whilst constraining inflation. So in this proposal, the inflation has been considerably reduced. So instead of the 10% inflation being based on the total supply of 100 billion, it's now based on just the circulating supply. And it's also broken down. So the proposal enables those who earn FLR either by providing infrastructure such as FTSOs and validators, or by transporting value using FLR's bridges to further vest in the ecosystem by deploying their FLR to earn a portion of the distribution. This additionally allows the network to reduce non-distribution related inflation, which is beneficial for all token holders over the medium to long term. So that's something important to understand here. We need as many validators and FTSO providers as possible to decentralize the bridges. So 70% is going to those who delegate to the FTSOs of the inflation, of the 10% rate based on circulating supply. So everyone is treated fairly. There's no whales, there's nobody who has influence over the network, there's no administrator. The FLR team does not control the network. They do not have a say over these proposals. This may or may not go through. It's, I think, 99.9% going to go through, because anyone who's voting and has the ability to vote is going to vote in favor. This is exactly what the ecosystem needs to be able to grow and bring value and achieve the vision that the creators, the FLR team, are the creators of the network. So after 2 years, this is what they suggest is the best thing for the network. And they have not had any public sales, there's no token sales, nothing here. So we remove the dilution from those who are entering. I think this is very powerful. And just to go on, the average rate of staking in the industry is 41%. Right now, I think Songbird's around 55-60%. So if you think in the first few months, it was only like 15% on Songbird, and I expect it not to be much more than that. You know, it's hard to predict exactly what, but just know it'll be the least in the first month to 2 months of the network launch. And that means the most rewards for you.